Please forgive me.
Mataji, we can't hear you. Mataji, we can't hear you. Mataji, in the microphone, you may want to choose same as system. Sometimes the microphone doesn't pick up the voice. Mataji, in the microphone, you may want to choose same as system. Sometimes the microphone doesn't pick up.
Oh.
Yes, Mataji, voice coming.
Audible?
Yes, Mataji, we
Yes,
can hear you.
please.
Maybe because I was too close. Okay, Hare Krishna. Thank you. Please accept my humble obeisances of the Prabhupada, of Sri Guru Maharaj, and all the assembled devotees. This is good morning. Today, let's move to our next part of the session, which is Caitanya Bhagavata by Vrindavan Das Thakur. I know who all have joined this morning. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Kamodaki Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances, Jai Shri Prabhupada. This is Preeti Vilasni Devidasi from California. Hare Krishna.
Cannot hear you.
Mataji, we cannot hear you again. Mataji, we cannot hear you.
No voice. What happened?
Maybe Mataji, you may want to check your mic. Under mic, there should be something as same as system. That's when it works. Not there, Mataji. I think on the Zoom app. On the Zoom app, if you see the mic symbol. Hare Krishna. Okay, we can't hear you. It's okay, Mataji. Oh, we can hear you laugh. I don't know if that's you.
Oh, we can hear.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, you are not audible.
Okay. Hare Krishna. I'm extremely sorry, Kamarik Mataji, I beg forgiveness, but we couldn't hear, so I'll quickly introduce Prabhu and hand over the call to him. Hare Krishna, welcome to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Thank you all so much for joining us today. Today's class will be given by His Grace Ramgiridhari Prabhu. This is going to be Caitanya Bhagavata, chapter 3, verse 15 onwards. Prabhuji, you can take over. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. It's a pleasure to be in the Association of Devotees to discuss Caitanya Bhagavata. So we are going to discuss from chapter 3, text 15 onwards. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. So reading from Sri Caitanya Bhagavata Adi Khanda, chapter 3, text number 15 through text number 28. Text 15. Shekane viprarupe eka mahajanam prabhura bhavishya karma karahe khatanam. In that assembly was one great Brahmana devotee who began to describe the Lord's future activities. Viprabale yei sishu shakshat narayana inha haite sarva dharma haive stapanam. He said, this child is non-different from Narayana. He will re-establish religious principles. Inha haite haibeka apurva pracharam yei shishu karibe sarva jagat uddhara. He will preach wonderfully and thus deliver the entire world. Brahma Shiva Shuka Yaha Vancha Anukshanam Inahaite Taha Vaibheka Sarvajanam. People will receive from him love of God that is desired by even Brahma, Shiva and Sukadeva. Text 19. Sarva Bhuta Dayalu Nirveda Darshane Sarva Jagatera Prita Haibe Ihane. Just by seeing him, the people of this world will develop love for him, compassion for other living entities, and detachment from material enjoyment. Anyera Kidaya Vishnu Drohi Ye Yavanam Taharo Ye Shishura Bhajibe Sharanam. What to speak of others? Even Yavanas who are averse to Vishnu will worship the lotus feet of this child. Ananta Brahmande Kirti Haibe Ihana Avipra Eyi Shishure Karibe Pranama. His glories will be sung in innumerable universes, and everyone, including Brahmanas, will offer respects to this child. Bhagavata Dharma Maya Ihana Sharira Devat Vijaguru Pitur Matru Bhakta Dhira. He is the personification of religious principles, the benefactor of the demigods, the Brahmanas, the spiritual masters, his father and mother, and the sober devotees. Vishnu Yena Avatari Lao Yayena Dharmam Seyi Mata Ye Shishu Karibe Sarva Karma. Just as Lord Vishnu incarnates and induces people to follow religious principles, this child will perform similar activities. Laknayata kahe shubha lakshana ihana kara shaktiya chetaha harite vyakhyana. Who has the power to explain the auspicious symptoms that are found in the houses of this child's horoscope? Dhanya tume mishra urandhara bhagyavan yandra ye nandana tandre rahuka pranama. O Jagannath Mishra, you are indeed glorious and fortunate because this child is your son, I offer my obeisances unto you. Ena koshti ghanilana ami bhagyavan Shri Vishwambhara Nama Haibe Ihana. I am also fortunate to have had the privilege of calculating his horoscope. This child's name will be Shri Vishwambhara. Ihane Bhalibe Loka Navadvipa Chandra Ye Balake Janiha Kevala Parananda. Yet people will call him Navadvip Chandra. Know for certain that this child is the personification of spiritual ecstasy. Enarase pache haya tukera prakasha atayevana kahila prabhura sannyasa. The Brahmana did not mention anything about the Lord's accepting sannyas out of fear for creating a distressful condition amidst the joyous occasion. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakayam Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaham Namahom Vishnu Padayam Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. It's a wonderful opportunity for us to churn and discuss the pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is a Gupta avatar. Not many have known him, understood him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, I sincerely want to thank the organizers to have given me this service on a regular basis to keep me in the association and giving me an opportunity to get purified. The context that we are in is where a Brahmana who is giving prophecy about the child Vishwambhar. Last week we all celebrated Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu's appearance day. I'm sure you all would have also got chance to discuss that in the Caitanya Bhagavata. So after the Lord appeared, several wonderful things are happening, several auspicious things are happening, and Jagannath Mishra is super pleased, super happy, absolute jubilation. Is giving, calling out devotees, giving them feast, inviting, and several other demigods in disguise visiting Jagannath Mishra's house. And eventually that there was a opportunity for Nilambar Chakravarti, who is the father of Sachi Mata, who looked at the horoscope. He's not an ordinary person, he's a very scholarly person. So he had already seen the house, the chart. This is a very nice Vedic system where there was science, and there is still not everyone is expert in that. That somebody can study the chart, depends upon the position of each houses. There are 9 houses or whatever. There are several details that anybody who knows astrology can better explain. But Nilambar Chakravarti looked at the chart of the Supreme Lord, and he has already given a glorious prediction how the Lord's qualities will be there and how the Lord will perform his duties, activities. And whilst he was reading out in that assembly, there was a Brahmana who gave his version of the Lord's characteristics and future. Whatever we read today is a prediction given by the Brahmana. So we are going to churn this context and try to dive deeper into this to learn some lessons for us. First of all, before even getting into this context, just imagine this scene where Mahaprabhu has just appeared and there is wonderful celebrations all around and everyone is thronging in to worship the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, those who know him as Bhagavan, especially those demigods and those great souls who have been waiting for this opportune moment. And in this very happy moment, and everybody is super excited. Sachi Mata is definitely happy because she has lost 6 child earlier, and even though she had a son, before Vishwambar, she's so pleased, so happy at this moment. And this sign of auspiciousness, this sign of jubilation is ever experienced by a practicing devotee because he is never feeling separation from the Lord at any point in time. So one of the reasons why a devotee is ever enthusiastic, ever happy, ever excited is he always feel the presence of the Lord in every walks of his life and every situation of his life. What Jagannath Mishra, Sachi Mata and everyone is experiencing now, some of the confidential devotees are going to experience for the next 25-30 years till Mahaprabhu is going to be present on the planet. And some of us are going to experience, are still experiencing by just reading and associating with this context. So the science of Krishna consciousness is Kevala Ananda Khanda. It is only simply joyous and wonderful thing, can only be experienced, and it cannot be just explained and simply limit ourselves to the words only. What we speak only when we experience, and with the experience you share with other experienced people, the joy gets multiplied. So this Caitanya Bhagavata session that you are all regularly having, I'm sure each of you are relishing, relating to this context and sharing your reflections. That gives us so much of joy. Sometimes we look forward for such a Sangha when we will be able to, hear and churn this nectar, which gives us eternal happiness. So with that note, I just want to, straight away draw to one of the prophecies, one of the predictions, or one of the points given by the Brahmana in verse number 19. I'm submitting that as my first reflection of this current context. Just by seeing him, the people of this world will develop love for him, compassion for other living entities, and detachment from material enjoyment. This is the answer. If anyone comes and asks you, why do you worship the Lord in his deity form? What happens when we take darshan of the Lord. Many times we do things out of formality without realizing the actual effect and actual result and actual process of it. Somebody asked us to do, so we are doing it. But here, it is very clearly explained that anyone who takes the darshan of the Lord, just by seeing him, the people of this world will develop love for him. So when we take darshan of the Supreme Lord, just by the darshan of the Supreme Lord, just by seeing him, we develop love for him. So I was in Mayapur Radha Madhava temple few years before. So Darshanarti was going on, and Radha Madhava's altar was going to be opening. I'm sure what I'm experiencing, all of you would have experienced. So when the altar got opened, so you naturally, I couldn't restrict, I couldn't control. Is it? Wow! I mean, you just immediately express your happiness, jubilation, surprise, because there every day, the Lord, gives new surprises with new attire. So I didn't even bow down. I didn't even offer obeisances when the altar got open. I gave some expression in a very loud voice. So next to me was Bhavananda Prabhu, who is one of Prabhupada's disciples, one of the earlier resident of Sridham Mayapur. So he turned towards me and he also said the same thing, isn't it? So it is very natural and it is a scientific things. The interesting aspect is, it is not only we practicing devotees find the Lord attractive, even the demigods, even the demons, even the people who are against the Supreme Lord find the Lord attractive. They don't subscribe, they don't follow, they don't implement the principles of spirituality in their life because of their arrogance and ego. But otherwise, anyone who takes darshan of the Lord cannot deny the beauty of the Lord. There was a king who was after a prostitute. He got so much captivated at the prostitute's beauty. So he was going after her, even in hot sun, without wearing his shoes or chappals. So he was walking behind her in the hot sun on the river bed, which is very, very hot, on the banks of the river Kaveri. Ramanujacharya was super surprised to see the scene. He said, what made this guy completely forget about all the discomforts of walking in hot sun? So he went to the king and asked, my dear sir, I am simply awestruck that you are on barefoot. What is that you are seeing in this lady that makes you to take up such a severe austerity? The king said, look at her eyes. Ramanujacharya smiling said, what if I show you someone's eyes who are much, much more beautiful than this lady? The king couldn't believe that someone like that would exist. But out of respect, he said, I would wish to see that person. So Ramanujacharya took that king to Ranganatha Swami, the main deities of Srirangam. As soon as the king saw the beautiful eyes, Namah Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajangraye, Buddhi Maharani prays to Krishna, Namah Pankaja Nabhaya, Namah Pankaja Maline, Namah Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajangraye. The Lord's eyes are like a lotus petal. Pundarikaksha, such a beautiful eyes. The king immediately fell in love for him. The point is, any innocent, any Shraddhalu, any sincere seeker of truth takes darshan of the Lord. These three effects are confirmed. If anyone is crooked, if anyone is with a vested and notorious agenda, they may still get benefit by coming in contact with the Lord, but they have other course of journey. But here, the Brahmana is saying, just by seeing, we will develop love for him. So our purpose of taking darshan of the Lord is to develop love for him. Shri Gaur Nitai, Shri Radha Shyam Sundar, Shri Radha Madhava. I'm seeing our deities here in front of me. Just by looking at them, with limited understanding, with limited shraddha, with limited bhakti, with unlimited dirt in the heart, still we are drawn towards him. What to speak of? Seeing them with love. Krishna immediately comes and resides in such person's heart. Not only that we develop love for him, we will also naturally develop compassionate feeling for other living entities. Jive Doya. This is a checkpoint for us and also a message for us that when we see the Lord, when we take darshan of the Lord, such qualities gets manifested. We need to recognize, nurture them and curb all the other portions which are going to harm this. Because to get this feeling, get this experience, it is not an easy thing. So feeling compassionate for other living entities. I want to refer to a shloka from 4th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. This 4th canto, chapter 12, text number 37. This is a shloka, or this is a context where Maitreya Rishi is telling to Vidura, Shanta, Samadrisha, Shuddha, Sarva Bhutanu Ranjana, Yanti Anja Sachyuta Padam, Achyuta Priya Bhandava. So the translation is, persons who are peaceful, equipoised, cleansed and purified, and who know the art of pleasing all other living entities, keep friendship only with the devotees of the Lord. They alone can very easily achieve the perfection of going back home, back to Godhead. So my second reflection, hence, is about taking the same shloka, verse number 19 that we are still churning, where these 5 characteristics Maitreya Rishi says are necessary for us to become eligible to go back home, back to God. For us to develop eligibility, because we are all working towards preparing ourselves to quit this cycle of birth and death. We are doing all this Krishna consciousness program so that somehow when our time comes, we are ready, prepared, at least to make progressive steps. So Maitreya Rishi is telling us This is a context when Dhruva Maharaj is going back home, back to Godhead. The same context. The Vimana has come. Dhruva Maharaj is going to leave. The shloka just before this is also very interesting. Verse number 36. Required will refer that. So he's saying, number one, peaceful. A person needs to be peaceful. When one can be peaceful? Only when we are in mode of goodness. When one can be in mode of goodness? When one is not agitated by dualities. When we will not be agitated by dualities? When we are satisfied and understand with what we are bestowed with is what the Lord has provided us based on our past karma, and accept them and simply work towards the onward journey, not worried about the current agenda. We will not search for comfort whilst we are living. We will be prepared to come out of comfort so that we are beyond dualities. We are not in agitated state of mind. We are in mode of goodness, and eventually we are peaceful. So please imagine when we talk about several quotients, several characteristics in Krishna Bhavana Amrita, in Krishna consciousness. So we need to understand that these all quotients are very, very important. And these quotients are meant for us to inculcate these characteristics so that eventually we become prepared for going back home, back to Godhead. So peaceful. The second quality Maitreya is saying is about equipoised. So where does this equipoisedness come? There are two characters. One is equipoised. Second is knowing the art of pleasing all other living entities. Sarva Manushya, that's not what is mentioned. Sarva Manushya Ranjana is not the word. Sarva Bhutanu Ranjana. All the living entities, not only human beings, but all the living entities. We remain equipoised and able to please all the living entities, which is what is explained here, just by looking at him, just by taking darshan of the Lord. That is why this is one of the 64 angas. So when we go and stand in front of the Lord, it is not some eye exercise for us. It is not just some formality for us. It is not some sort of a sentiment for us. It is actually science. The Lord, just by the darshan, is facilitating us to develop compassion towards all the other living entities. He is helping us to develop love for Him so that we develop a detachment from materialistic enjoyment. This is darshana. So anytime when we go and take darshan of the Lord, be conscious this is happening or this has to happen. So we don't go for any other agenda. We don't go for any temporary results or trade with the Lord. Even if you go, it is allowed because Krishna wants some way or other that we go to Him. But those who means serious in Krishna consciousness, they don't understand that darshana to the Supreme Lord is something is very scientific. So developing compassion towards the Supreme Lord, Sarva Bhutanu Ranjana. So we need to develop some sort of a sense of brotherhood, sisterhood, or mood of Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. So Mahaprabhu is such an incarnation who has facilitated this. The pastime of Jari Khanda, where even the animals could embrace each other. One is food for other, but when Mahaprabhu was passing through the forest, they all embraced each other. They were friendly with each other. They were dancing together. The Mayavadis who are dead against the process of Bhakti Yoga, they come and danced. Be part of Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan mission. Prakashananda Saraswati and his entire cloud of Mayavadis, they got transformed. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who once was a Mayavadi, got completely transformed. So many other people who were agnostic against Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan mission, when they came in contact with him, they got transformed. And that is the next prayer where even Yavanas, what to speak of others, even Yavanas who are averse to Vishnu will worship the lotus feet of his child. And who knows better than us that Srila Prabhupada made this prophecy come true. Actually, sometimes when we think of Yavanas, we think of some people here and there. Sometimes we ourselves forget that our consciousness is also demoniac in some capacity, at least mine for sure. But the hope here is that by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, even such personalities, they develop love. They will worship the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. So, for us to be the recipient of Lord's mercy, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy, one of the qualifications is we are patita, we are fallen. So, if at all our being fallen is a qualification, it is here for us to be the recipient of Lord Sri Chaitanya's mercy. So, two reflections. Number one reflection is what we saw in verse number 19, where we get to understand what happens by taking darshan of the Supreme Lord. The prophecy that the Brahmana is giving about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is applicable to all the forms of the Lord. So when we take darshan of the Lord, we develop love for the Lord. Number two, we develop compassionate for the other living entities. Number three, detachment from materialistic enjoyment. The second reflection is, this is not only for those sincere and serious devotees, it is also for those who are averse to Lord Vishnu, even will worship him. But the secret of this statement is that prophecy or that possibility is made true by the followers and beloveds of those Supreme Lord. Like Srila Prabhupada, Jayananda Prabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and several wonderful personalities, they have exhibited this quality, how somebody from a very degraded consciousness will be able to develop attachment and love for the Supreme Lord. Jayananda Prabhu brought all the thugs and taporis of that area for building the Jagannath God. He even made them drink alcohol for them to construct Jagannath Rath. But eventually he gave them the blessings of Lord Jagannath and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Prabhupada transformed those who have been completely addicted to an animalistic lifestyle. He transformed their lives to become a happy and successful human being, and eventually made them as a self-realized souls. So this power of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very well predicted. The third reflection that I want to bring in here is about how the Lord has kept himself very secret, but then he allows his confidential and able devotees to glorify and to reveal about the Lord's transcendental position. The authority to define the Lord and its transcendental position is given to the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. So if you want to better know about the Lord, don't go to the Lord. Go to the Lord's dear servants. Brahmanosya mugamasid bahura janyakritaha. Purusha Sukta says, Brahmanosya mukamasid. Brahmanas are the mouthpiece of the Lord. Here a Brahmana is giving a prophecy, is predicting about how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to be. He's Lord. He's independent. He is fully under his own program. Nobody else's control he is in. But a Brahmana, a Vaishnava is able to fully understand because that secret access. So the Brahmana is predicting this, and when I was reflecting on this point, how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's glories are known to special confidential devotees. And as Jayapataka Maharaj writes in one of his songs, Yadi Prabhupada na hoito, tabe ki hoito, e jivana barisha kise. Nitai Gaurera Parama Karuna. He says that who would have come and explained us about Nitai and Gauranga had Prabhupada had not been there. So this Brahmana is giving some prophecy for all of us at that time. Some people heard, accepted, followed, and looked up to the child like that. Some people just did not take seriously, and eventually, the Lord fulfilled all the prophecies, all the statements. So a Buddhiman, intelligent person is that person who takes the advice of a Brahmana, Vaishnava seriously, walk on that path, never waste time. Because a self-realized soul is able to see beyond, is able to foretell, is able to tell something that is going to come our way. So these prophecies are generally told for us to be prepared, for us to be welcoming, for us to be participating, and for us to be engaging in the service of the Lord. So my third reflection in this context is that how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, before even people got to know, everyone realized that he is Krishna himself. That secret of what all he is going to come and do, he made it available through a Brahmana. That is why in Vedic system, in Varnashrama system, as well as in Vaishnava tradition, they give utmost importance to Vaishnavas and Brahmanas than to the words of the Supreme Lord. Because the words of the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are carrying a special weightage. I was talking the other day in our congregation that just because of a Vaishnava, the Lord gets new names. While the Lord on one side he is declaring himself as Swarat, but just because of a Vaishnava, like for example, Srila Prabhupada has named the deities as Radha London Ishwara, Radha Paris Ishwara. I am sure in all the combinations of the names in Vishnu Sahasranama and all the other places where wonderful, glorious Ashtotras of the Lord or Sahasrotras of the Lord, these names are not listed. I am not sure if you go to Golok Vrindavan Dham, you will get to see Radha Paris Ishwara there, Radha London Ishwara there. But the Lord over here has got those names. He is worshipped, he receives, he accepts them. He bestows benediction because it is his devotee who has been given that privilege. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after he delivered the Vasudeva leper in South India, he's got a title called Vasudeva Amrita Prada. One who has delivered that Vasudeva. So getting the name of his devotees, the Lord is very nice. Getting the name associated with the location, the Lord feels very nice. Navadvipa Chandra. Even though he is giving the Lord the name Vishwambara, the Brahmana is also saying that he will eventually be known as Navadvipa Chandra, the moon of Navadvipa, a special child of Navadvipa, which means he's going to rule everyone's heart. So the third reflection is that in our journey to Krishna consciousness, the words and directives of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas cannot be taken lightly, because they are the mouthpiece of the Supreme Lord. Even though the Brahmana and Vaishnava may not necessarily be the perfect one, so long as they are in the parampara, so long as they are repeating the words of their predecessor acharyas, it is to be understood that they are pujaniya, they are worshipable, and they are supposed to be taken seriously. And those who took Srila Prabhupada seriously, they understood Krishna. Those who mistook Srila Prabhupada, they couldn't comprehend what Srila Prabhupada is and what Krishna consciousness is. Yadi gaur na hoito, tabe ki hoito, kemone hari tambe, radhara mahima, prema rasasima, jagate janatoke. Had somebody not understood who Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, would have not understood, still not have understood who Radha and Krishna is. So the Brahmana is saying the whole world will glorify innumerable universes. One time, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj was walking in the streets of Mayapur, what we currently call as Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Marg. On the Gaura Purnima day, he was walking on that road, and suddenly he pointed his cane towards the moon and said that we should be working so hard, preaching the mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so much so that one day we should celebrate Gaura Purnima Mahotsav in moon. So that is the mood and prediction, desire of acharyas. So they make predictions, and they also have desires like that. And if you analyze the history, Srila Prabhupada fulfilled all the desires of the predecessor acharyas. And interestingly, Srila Prabhupada's disciples and the future generations after Prabhupada has fulfilled the desires and the predictions of our dear Srila Prabhupada. So many things that Srila Prabhupada said that this will happen, this will happen, this will happen, this will happen. They are all happening. In fact, all the Prabhupada disciples, they are making every year new, wonderful offering to Srila Prabhupada, which Srila Prabhupada desired when he was there. The temple, there's a storefront or there's a small house in Chipiwada in Delhi. During the earlier days, when Srila Prabhupada used to shuttle between Vrindavan and New Delhi for publishing Back to Godhead magazine. So he used to do up and down. At that time, he used to stay in Chipiwada. And Prabhupada at that time desired that may that place be acquired by ISKCON. And everyone recognize and remember what endeavor has been put in for such an international society. Our dearest Gopal Krishna Maharaj worked tirelessly and eventually got that for ISKCON. The land in Kurukshetra, Srila Prabhupada wanted to have a beautiful temple. You know, Gopal Krishna Maharaj and his servants, they acquired that. Several such things. So the reflection here is that, hence, let's not undermine, let's not take the words of our acharyas lightly. And rather, let's search for their desire points. If any one Vaishnava has desired something, just work towards that, you will see Krishna there. If you ignore a Vaishnava and try to work on your own project, then probably you will not get the result. Because here the Brahmana is saying, people will receive from him the love of God that is desired by Shiva, Shuka, Brahma, Narada. So what bhakti they desired, we are going to get just by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's blessings. So we are on a very fortunate journey, wonderful journey. So hence we should, the third reflection is we should take the words of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas seriously. The next reflection is text number 24. Who has the power to explain the auspicious symptoms that are found in the houses of the child's horoscope? This is a very interesting place for a normal person. Their houses in their charts, they are formed according to his karma. For a self-realized person, Nitya Siddha, if you look at their chart are organized in such a capacity according to the instructions, directions given to him by the Supreme Lord. So the charts, all the planets, Sun, Moon, Vayu, Chandra, Varuna, Rahu, Ketu, they all go and sit in a position because they are supposed to assist him. Because he is a messenger of the Supreme Lord. And in the case of the Supreme Lord, all these houses are available for the Lord's service, so they are ready there. So the chart, what we take it for conclusive evidence for our own prediction in our life, to an extent, this astrology helps us in studying our planet's position. But in case of the Lord and self-realized souls, astrology is not going to decide them. They are deciding what is these planets are supposed to do for them. Please understand that the reason why Srila Prabhupada time and again explain that we should understand who Krishna is, who are we, what is our relationship with him, and eventually go deeper in understanding his pastimes is because without knowing the foundation, we will start to compare everything that is happening with the Lord as something ordinary that is happening with any other human being. Here the houses of the Lord is so wonderful. Is that by a chance? Because in our case, or at least in a Baddha Jiva's case, the charts are formed based on my karma. They just take some position somewhere, somebody has got some dosha, Shani dosha, some Rahu dosha, some Guru dosha, come this dosha, that dosha. If you look at Prabhupada's chart, somebody who studied Prabhupada's chart, they said, the astrologer said that this boy is not an ordinary child. He is going to construct 108 temples during his lifetime. He is going to travel all around the world. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna explains in one place, the life of an ordinary person and the life of a self-realized soul, they may look alike. It may apparently appear that they are also doing same set of activities, but the net result is completely different. Prabhupada must have taken birth in someone's family, grew up, studied, go to college, got married, begot children. This all might be a normal course of anybody's life. But only those who understand the science of Krishna consciousness know that they are God-sent messengers, empowered messengers, self-realized souls, that they have come down on the order of the Supreme Lord, because they have come down on the order of the Supreme Lord, all the houses, all the charts are supposed to assist them. So they cannot, their life cannot be analyzed. Oh my God. Oh, this person has got Ketu in the 9th house, Rahu in 25th house, or whatever that is. Probably this person will suffer. No. They are beyond suffering and happiness. And all their activities are only meant for education. So if you analyze Srila Prabhupada's life, there are several quote-unquote failures. There are several quote-unquote disturbances. There are several quote-unquote health issues. There are several quote-unquote, management troubles. But none of them are attributing to Srila Prabhupada, or it has gone to Prabhupada's chart. All of them are meant to happen that way because it is a project that Srila Prabhupada was given by the Supreme Lord, so that such prophecies that how this whole world will be inundated with this Hare Krishna Mahamantras Sankirtan mission. So these charts, that is why this Brahmana is saying, who has got this potency to analyze? You cannot just simply see by naked eye and analyze the Lord's chart. That is sentimental. You have to think beyond. That is how self-realized soul, that is how the Supreme Lord's activities are analyzed. They are not seen by normal protocol, normal arrangement. There's all beyond. So don't apply the normal logic to them. Even for a normal politician, even for a democratically chosen politician, he has got a new protocol for his security and travel. What to speak of such self-realized souls? So my fourth reflection hence is that these astrological charts or the horoscope of self-realized soul and Supreme Lord are not defining them. Rather, they enable these houses, these planets to assist. So all these planets are their servants. Depends upon whatever Leela that needs to happen. They go and sit in that particular position and particular place so that the Leela can happen. So they are completely controlled by the Supreme Lord's desire and Supreme Lord's set of activities. So finally, the Brahmana says that I do not want to mention about the future activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that is about his sannyas. It's very nice of him to keep the excitement intact, because the Lord reveals certain activities at certain point in time for certain people. So for the Lord to perform sannyasa leela, there is enough time, another 15, 16, 20 years available. So the Brahmana thought, why to disturb the excitement? Because the Vatsalya Bhava, the Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Mata, and as well as all the other members of the society, especially those sincere and serious ones who subscribed to the feelings of Advaita Acharya. What was that? Complete compassionate towards the people in general who are going through sufferings of evil effects of Kali. So all the inhabitants of Navadvip at that time, especially those intelligent ones, they subscribed to Advaita Acharya's thought process. Hence they felt very happy for the Lord's appearance, and they naturally developed some sort of a parental and a compassionate attachment towards the Supreme Lord. So the Brahmana did not want to share what is coming in the future, because that is the second part of Mahaprabhu's Leela. The entire Adi Khanda, or even the entire Caitanya Bhagavata, predominantly talks about Mahaprabhu's childhood pastimes. which is a different mellow, different rasa, different purpose. So the later serious, esoteric part of Mahaprabhu's pastimes will eventually be revealed, explained, because those set of activities are going to be completely different from Mahaprabhu's childhood's activities. So, Brahmana, with utmost maturity, with utmost prudence, he withheld certain information. So, in general, this is a etiquette, this is a mannerism. When you want to present the news, good news, or glorious messages, we need to make sure that we need to learn to sequence them, and sometimes certain information can be omitted for higher reasons or for some specific purpose. So here Brahmana did not want to disturb because it's a celebration time. It is like Krishna did not reveal his plan of going to Mathura. He never revealed. Had Akrura not told, nobody would have even come to know that Krishna's real parents are Devaki and Vasudeva. Even that, after Akrura said, the Vrindavan Vasis, some of them did not believe. So the Lord, according to individual rasas, he tried to reciprocate, and right now the rasa, the mood in that particular context scenario was everybody is enjoying his appearance and they want to have wonderful time about his childhood pastimes. There is no need of knowing about his sannyas lila, which at a later stage the Lord himself will reveal, and there are several devotees who are there to glorify and define the Lord's activities. So in our own preaching, in our own strategy to help others in Krishna consciousness, we need to know what information to be presented when. We cannot just present all that you know. You need to present all that is needed. Prabhupada has given us all that is needed. And we have to also take into consideration whomever we are preaching, to whomever we are giving Krishna consciousness, we teach them, we present them those informations, those knowledge that is relevant and relatable for the audience, and we need not go overboard. So these are the 5 sets of reflections with respect to this current context. Number 1 being how when we take darshan of the Lord, we develop love for him, we develop compassionate for other living entities, and we develop detachment from material enjoyment. So we also, mentioned about how Maitreya is telling Vidura the qualifications. So these are all becomes a prerequisite for us to get qualified, or we eventually get qualified. So hence, darshan of the Lord prepares us to go closer to the Lord. The second reflection was that the power of the Lord's darshana is such that it is even yavanas or completely degraded fallen souls also get them. And from that perspective, you need to understand that it is by the blessings of the Lord's devotees who have made this prophecy, made this come true, because for those Lord's devotees, they are compassionate towards others, so they are letting others enabled to come and see the Lord. So that way, Prabhupada and Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, Nityananda Prabhu, we gave examples how they have helped one to understand, recognize, and eventually able to develop love for the Supreme Lord. So we discussed this as a second reflection. And in the third reflection, we discussed about how the house of the Lord, when we said that how when different planets, different houses, it is not that the definition of the houses define the Lord. It is actually the Lord and Vaishnavas. So we should not analyze a person based on his birth or external criteria. We need to know where they belong to, how they belong to, and eventually glorify them with respect to their stature. We need to glorify them and serve them. That is why Nectar of Instruction very clearly says, Don't look at the dress and address of a Vaishnava, look at the devotion of a Vaishnava. So we also mentioned about one more reflection where it is imperative for us to give weightage to the words of the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas and give importance to them and follow them rather than ignoring or undermining their words, because the Lord enables them. Brahmanosya Mukhamasi. And the fifth reflection is about how when we are giving knowledge to others, when we are preaching to others, when we are helping others take up Krishna consciousness, we need to know how to present the science of Krishna consciousness, at what point in time, what knowledge is imparted. The Brahmana here is taking a very humble position in revealing those that are palatable, relishable, enjoyable by the members there, and withholding those informations with our intents, and also have different rasa for the future time for somebody else to reveal. So in our own preaching also, we help everyone to take up Krishna consciousness and provide that information by which they can make immediate progress. Not that we bombard with all those information by which a person gets confused and never take up Krishna consciousness. So there are several more wonderful reflections and realizations that the Caitanya Bhagavata is going to give us. So we are very fortunate to be part of this initiative, and thank you so much once again for letting me do this service. I'll stop here. If there are any questions or comments, I'll be happy to respond. Shri Gaurnitai ki jai, Caitanya Bhagavat ki jai, Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai, Nitai Gaurav Premanande Hari Hari. Any questions or comments? I'll be happy to respond.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for such a very, very nice class. I really like the last specific reflection that you made, that when we preach, it is very important to talk to the audience, not just pour out all that we have gathered and assimilated. I think that is something, we all have, at least me, consciously develop. So thank you for that reminder. I'm very grateful for the very sweet class. It was very, very nice, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Anybody else has any other comments, questions, reflections?
Is everyone muted or is everything okay?
No, actually, we're not muted, but I don't have a question, but I'm just having such a super soul experience right now, because somebody just asked me to comment on how they would respond to a person that they are trying to cultivate in Krishna consciousness. And when I read that message that they wanted to give that, that other devotee that they're trying to cultivate, oh my God, I felt like I was being bombarded and that I was being over flooded with information. It was like a total drowning experience. And so, and giving my feedback to this, let's say this preacher, right, who wanted me to review her message, I was like, on the one hand, I want to say, I think you should just, give relevant information and not bombard them. But on the other hand, I was feeling like, well, they have been bringing the person along thus far, and the person has been very appreciative. So, who am I to give this comment, But by hearing this reflection here today and hearing it being emphasized, I feel like the Super Soul was like validating my reaction to this. This is something I'm talking about that happened within like that's happening like right now, and that we've been having this back and forth conversation over the past few hours. And so for these comments to be made right in the midst of when I'm going through this right now is like unbelievable. Like I said, it's like a super soul experience.
This Shastra is like this glass, spectacles. The purpose of this glass is supposed to fix my vision, which is faulty, so that I see the things as they are. Suppose, for example, I wear this and in the process of decorating this, I put some sort of a jewel, some sort of a color, some sort of this, and make it much more beautiful and decorative. And I'm not able to see the object as I am.
Yeah.
There's no point in this.
Yeah.
Shastra Chakshu means I give knowledge by which I get to see the reality as they are. That's what Prabhupada did. What if Prabhupada has asked us to study Rig Veda? Please study. If you want to take second initiation, you should finish Rig Veda. I'm sure we would all be sitting at home and folding our palms and crying like the Brahmana and Srirangam, not figuring out what's going on. So he was very kind enough in knowing where we stand and gave us what is assimilatable, relevant, and relatable. So very important. Thank you.
Yeah. Nice. Thank you so much. This was like, I tell you, this experience was like totally amazing, because it's not like something that, I was discussing like yesterday or the day before yesterday. It's like happening now. So it was like Super Soul is definitely talking to you. And the fact that Preeti Mataji, she's repeating it, it's like, it's like such confirmation and validation. Thank you.
So Preeti Mataji is your, Brahmana foreteller. So telling everything. So in your congregation, she is doing that service almost every day, probably.
Well, you're a team effort today.
Team effort, yes.
Any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances on glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Prabhu, I have two questions. The first one is this a skill that comes with time, that we don't go overboard and we just give how much is needed? Because, as a new sadhaka and a new preacher, we may not be in a position to estimate the, appetite of the other person to take the knowledge.
Skill is actually
a skill?
Skill is actually 10%, and 90% is compassion. For example, a mother, first time she is a mother and she is feeding a newborn. How much to feed the child? There is some common sense. I love my child so much, so I will feed my child with as much milk as I want. She should have some common sense. And where does common sense coming from? Natural love for the child. So when we preach, it is not about our panditya. It is about compassionate on the other side. So whenever we preach, don't think what you should give. Think about what he needs. And see if it is available with you, give. If it is not available with you, bring it from somewhere and give. The problem with preachers is, at least when I analyze myself, we only think and prepare for what I should give to others. If the moment I start to realize what they would be needing, can I give? If I can't, I'll excuse myself and bring it from someone else. So the skill is there, 10%. The skill can be learned, just in matter of a few sessions. But compassion, it has to come from within. And today we saw, where is the compassion coming from? Standing in front of your deities and taking their darshan, just darshan, just see them just by looking at them. Compassion for other living entities comes within us. And hence, we should not do eye exercise. We should definitely make sure that our every endeavor in Krishna consciousness is directed towards grooming ourselves. Does it make sense, Mataji?
Completely, Prabhu. We'll meditate upon that. And my second question was, when giving a Srimad Bhagavatam class, that time it is not possible to judge the audience, right? You give a class, whatever makes sense to you and whatever knowledge you have and whatever the purport and verse is. So in that case, we cannot customize. We have to give a standard class, right, Prabhu? Isn't it so? Like you are giving a class, you don't know how many of us are able to take and how many are not. So do I understand that correct, or you have something?
You understand it. I would just want to say, when you give a class to such an audience, you speak for yourself. not for the audience. So basically it is like this. There are two sets of preaching. One is three sets of, let me say that. One is you preach to win some new people to come into this movement. Number two, you conduct a specific set of course and training for a specific selected audience. These two things are easy because preset, you know who the target audience is. To a larger extent, you can figure it out. When you are trying to do the seva of giving Bhagavatam class or such a forum where different types of audiences are there, the easiest and better way that I keep adopting is you speak putting yourself as a student. You are a student. What are your needs? Don't talk about reflections that you don't know, that you cannot assimilate, that you cannot process it. For example, there are certain philosophical understandings that I may not be able to, like Bhanu Maharaj gave a class. Suppose I repeat verbatim what he said to you, nothing you will understand because I have not myself understood. Because he gave a class in a different stature with different understanding. And if you hear his class, you'll understand very nicely. But if you repeat it without understanding it, it'll be slightly difficult. So repeating Prabhupada's words, self-realized devotees' words are okay. That's not wrong. But proportionate to our surrender, our understanding, makes it easier for others to understand. So my experience is that when you speak to such a variegated audience, you make sure that you put yourself as a student, prepare the class around it, plus some little judgment, little information, general knowledge is good enough, because we know this Caitanya Bhagavata class has been not called for newbies. Even if they happen to hear them, they may get some benefit. There is always some benefit. But if you want to derive the best benefit is in such classes is you speak for yourself. In such forums, it becomes very easier for others to understand because it will be real. Anything that is real and honest, it has got a very powerful effect in other person. The moment you try to become unreal or try to buy hard and do some sort of imitating someone, sometimes it may become a hit, not always, and it's not sustainable, and it's not self-purifying. After a point in time, you will feel dry for yourself, but you may not sustain in that service. That is why somebody said this very, very nice to me, that if you are able to preach to your certain group of people for a little longer time and still you are able to keep the congregation bound together, which means that you are speaking genuinely, they are hearing genuinely, the relationship is genuine. Because you cannot be a fake speaker for a long time. Neither an audience can stay for such a long time. Does it make some sense?
Completely, Prabhu. Beautiful answer. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Very, very beautiful class, Prabhuji. I really like the point, as everybody is saying, that a preacher should give whatever the information needed to that person, not to give more details when they are still growing up. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. I really agree that point. It really, when we started our Krishna conscious journey also, we just started on that basis only, right? They did not give us completely information that you have to stop this or you have to stop that. Just said, okay, come, sit, listen to the class, eat some nice prasadam, just stand one round if it's possible. Slowly, they started giving us everything. And finally, they said, this is what the standard, you have to live like this. If initially only they will say me that this is the standard, then I would never go to the next class because getting scared because I'm not so trained, na? That's why. So very nice, Prabhuji. I personally say, it touched my heart because that's how I came to Krishna consciousness. Hari Bol, Hari Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Any other comments, reflections? Okay, so thank you so much for the opportunity. So looking forward for more Sangha in the future.
Gomati ki Mataji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Koti Koti Dandavat Pranam. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev Ji, Prabhuji, H.G. Jayapataka Maharaj is here. Pray for us that we will serve so sincerely to H.G. Jayapataka Maharaj and especially follow the instruction given in that lecture. First day, Maharaj is so tired, Prabhuji, not able to come in a temple, but still he give a darshan to all the Vaishnava, Srila Prabhupada, and only three and a half पैर ही मैं पीछे थी और महाराज ने और दृष्टि फॉलोइंग जयपताक महाराज वाणी एवरी डे इवनिंग टाइम हियरिंग जयपताक महाराज वाणी. तो प्रभु जी महाराज said Govindam Adipurusham. When Maharaj came at 5:30, that again we do a Govindam Adipurusham, and Maharaj just ऐसे अंगुली करके बोला Govindam Adipurusham. So the Maharaj want to say that never ever always remember Krishna, never forgot Krishna. That time message get because of so much crowd, we are standing nearby Srila Prabhupada, and I think how I get a darshan of Jayapataka Maharaj, and suddenly Maharaj came to take a darshan of Srila Prabhupada. So when you desire, moral of the story, when you desire that Guru Maharaj is fulfill your desire, that much I learned, Prabhuji. Ananta Koti Dandavat Pranam to H.G. Jayapataka Maharaj, Koti Dandavat Pranam to you and all Vaishnava. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudev Ki Jai. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All the realization is touched to heart, Prabhuji, by Radhanath Maharaj mercy and H.G. Jayapataka Maharaj mercy. Now I understand 60-70% your all realization. Please forgive us.
So
Koti Dandavat.
So you have improved my presentation skill by your appreciation, because of you some enthusiastic devotees this service is going on. So all glories to you too.
Prabhuji, you are so sincere. Your realization is so high-fi, Prabhuji. Me 0.0% Vaishnavi, that after 2.5 years now, from last 7-8 months, at least attentively hearing and preparing Bhoga Sri Jagannath, Prabhuji. Yes, sure, make a note and share in your inbox. Koti Dandavat Pranam.
All glories to Prabhupada.
Am I on?
You're in and out, Mataji. Probably once again got cut. You're muted. I think you're muted yourself.
Yeah, Mataji is unmuted, but we cannot hear you, Mataji.
I don't know. But,
It's coming. Please talk.
Prabhuji, by your and
We can figure out what you intend to say, Mataji. So that's the power of your simplicity. Some of your voice is not coming.
we can end the call.
Namo Namaha.
Hare Krishna.
Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, His Grace Ramgiridhari Prabhuji ki Jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Pranam. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you everyone for joining today's class. We'll meet again tomorrow.